Mm.
They'll be cutting you off, man. Good morning, America. It is I, Jason the Lion, back for another episode of the Saturday Conversation. Shout out to all my football fans. You swing now. Got your fantasy team going, your regular team going. We got here, we do it. For all my ACC fans, I don't care if you're a Tiger, I don't care if you're a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket, you a North Carolina Tar Heel, Florida State Seminole. Y'all boys played a good game last night. You should still be here watching us on the Booker Man Saturday Conversation. What's going on, Doc?
Yo, man, what's up, Lion? Boy, love them intros. I'm gonna clip all of them intros. We're gonna make one long video of just your intros. It's gonna be fun. You know, we got about a year's worth of them lined up, so we could definitely make something good out of that.
I need to know wherever they at and whatever they doing, whatever they into, they should be here with us.
Oh, for certain, because we got some good stuff to talk about. But let's take care of some housekeeping stuff first after I drink my water right quick.
Well, you know, as always, please, we broadcasting live on Facebook. We broadcasting live on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. Mm-hmm. Also, Doc, tell them how they can be part of the show, Doc.
Well, I'm glad you said that. So if you would like to interact with us on the show, there are two different ways you can do that. Now, the first way is that you can just leave a comment on whatever stream you're watching. It's showing up in several places. Just put a comment down there, and then we'll throw it up on the screen like this. This is our good brother Paul right here. Peace and blessings, ready for another intriguing show. So we'll do it like that. We can converse back and forth through the comment section. The second way is more involved. If you would like to actually come up on stage with us and say your pieces, might be a little bit too much to type. Go ahead and click that first link, and that'll bring you into our green room. I'll bring you on, and then you can join in the conversation with us. And that's it. It's simple.
That's it. Jump in. We want to hear what you got to say. You got. I know everybody don't have Twitter fingers. Everybody don't have them thumbs to just just write it up like that. So if you want to come in, you got something to say, jump on in. Tell us what's on your mind. You don't have to stay for the whole show. You can come in, get what you got to say out, and then get on out of here. You can hang out for a little while. We versatile.
And you don't have to show your camera. You can turn your camera off. I just want to see you in the green room. Then when we come up, you can turn it off.
Yeah, so if you ain't TV show ready, we understand. Everybody that do like me and went straight to the barbershop this morning.
Boy, that's why Jason the Lion always on point. You got to be blessed, man. You ain't losing your hair like me, but you all right.
Boy, I ain't gonna tell nobody. I just got a good disguise. Don't tell nobody.
I hear you.
It just ain't leaving from right here. It's got some stuff going on. That's all.
It's on the other side.
It's product placement, baby. Product placement.
Okay. and I'm gonna tell you this, man. Y'all listen. Every Saturday we're here at 11, between 11 and 12, depending on what happened, because we all still got families and stuff to do. So, but we will show up and let you know that we won't be. Also, the most value that you can get out of this group from this show and us will be on Thursdays at 7, where we do our book study on Way of the Superior Man this time. And that's pretty much what inspired us with the topic for today's show. But yes, so you want to just talk about the other thing briefly? We just going to save that for another show.
We're going to talk about both things because I think we want to talk about it while it's relevant.
Okay.
Or not relevant.
Yeah.
That's the correct word. So the other thing we both have our views and opinions on is this new movie, Miss Viola Davis, The Woman King.
Yeah.
So we're gonna spend a few minutes, talking about that, and I want everybody to understand this up front. I have not seen the film yet. Doc, have you had opportunity to see the film?
No, it's this thing about time. I'll talk about that later.
Right. Well, for me, I don't think I'm gonna go see it. Once I did my initial thought of what it was, and then once I did a little research, and then once I heard some further research done, not for me.
Yeah, no, it's and what people would say was you got to give it a chance. You got to watch this thing. You got to participate in it. And to me, the most valuable thing that I have personally is my time. The most valuable thing. It's so valuable that I trade some of it for money so I can support my family. So if things that I don't believe in or follow, I'm not going to give it my time, because that's what they want. By the time you give them your time, you paid your money, they already used you. They got what they want.
Yep.
You can't get it back.
That's it. That's the only thing you have really to say about anything is how you spend your money right now, because people don't really care how you feel if you're not spending your money on it. They only care how you feel if you choose not to spend your money.
There you go. Yeah. So here's the question. So what's the issue with this Woman King movie? Because when people see it, they saw it was coming. They watched the trailers like, oh, okay, it got our black women in it being the stars. They're doing action-packed roles, all of this stuff. So what's the problem with it?
And all of that's cool. I have no issue with seeing the black women take the lead in movies. I have no issue with black women being action stars. We done had Mila Jovovich play every action star, every female action star for the last 20 years. So I have no issue with some sisters getting some parts as some action stars. I really thought years ago when Sanaa Lathan was the star of Alien vs. Predator, we would start to see more, because how great a job she and how great a job she did. I was like, oh, this might be an avenue to start seeing more black women as action stars. And then they did something crazy like made Queen Latifah Equalizer. But we're not gonna talk about that.
Oh man,
Hollywood, we don't believe you, Hollywood. We don't believe she can be the Equalizer. I'm sorry, she is. No, I can't. You can't sell me Queen Latifah Equalizer. A lot of women y'all could have put in that role. She was not the one. But never.
All right, let's get down to this thing now. The first thing, like you see the new title I just created, Woman King. What's wrong with it? So it follows the exploits of the Dahomey tribe,
right?
And there is a tribe in Africa, and they really were women warriors in this tribe.
Correct.
The thing that many people are finding that's wrong with it is that, and I didn't know this until I started looking at it, is that the Dahomey tribe plays a large role in the propagation of slavery.
Yes.
Oh, hold on. He said there's only one equalizer. There you go. Boy, Paul on it. Was only one equalizer.
We know who it is.
But they played a role in that. And from the research, you know what happened? Even after the British stopped slavery, they wanted it to keep going.
Correct. And that's one of my issues with the film. There were actual female warriors of the Dahomey tribe, and that's cool. That's but there were actual female warriors that weren't of the Dahomey tribe. They could have done this movie on as well. That would have been a lot more positive energy to do a film about, praising a tribe that was so integral in slavery in West Africa, especially U.S. chattel slavery. Is really it's kind of hurtful, to be honest with you.
Well,
so many other stories could have been told.
And that's true. Well, let's look behind the curtain. When you look behind the curtain, this is what you see. The Woman King was written by a white woman who proclaims herself as a feminist. And she was in South Africa. She's not South, but in Africa, in that region, and she just loved it, and she decided to write this movie.
Well, first off, let me correct you, Doc. She wasn't in the region. She loves Kenya.
Did she live there?
Kenya.
Oh, Kenya. Okay, yeah, you're right.
Which is East Africa. That's not the region. The Dahomey
Right.
tribe in the slave trade was largely part of West Africa, because that's the access to the Atlantic Ocean, hence the name, the Atlantic slave trade.
Right.
So this is a story from what I read. I probably read the same article you did, the Vanity Fair article, that she learned about the Dahomey tribe years ago, supposedly, and wanted to tell more stories about women, not specifically black women, but stories about women characters doing, I guess, war, battling, and just doing what she would consider great things, which is fine. Have no issue with that. Got 2 daughters. Want my daughters to feel like they can do
what they want to do, but just be aware. So here's the bigger picture that I see, and I've been saying this for a long time. especially when it comes to this Disney and Marvel stuff. This is the same thing. So I saw a video the other day, and the guy, he reports on like the news and stuff like that. So he has sources he can't reveal. That's Hollywood insiders.
Right.
And when I say this is about money, what he said connected it all. And he said what they're doing, specifically Disney, but this is not Disney, but this person, they're doing the same thing. It's not about representation, but they are trying to represent emotions, attitudes, and personalities. And they are marketing to those things. So when I say representation, we see a black person on screen, we say, oh, that's representation. That's not where they at. Emotions, personalities, beliefs. So they're doing all of that stuff. And they intentionally make these movies to market to those type of people. So how is that connected to The Woman King? Most people that are of the, have a lot of feminist beliefs and things like that, they always say strong women.
Mm-hmm.
And their idea of a strong woman is a woman that's like a strong man.
Right.
And they don't embrace what makes women special and what makes them very strong. But the opposite in this movie does that. It embraced strong man. So then, so now that we know their illusion and representation is about the personalities and beliefs, and it's all of those fringe communities, the LGBTQ, black women, feminists, those are the main ones because they spend the money.
Yeah.
This movie was made for black women feminists.
Yes.
Now, and this is where they catch you. And they're doing this with The Little Mermaid, Wakanda, all this stuff. This is what they're doing. They present you with an image that creates a psychotic break in your brain. This is about black women, so it can't be bad. They sneak other stuff in it, but you're afraid to say something about it because it's starring black women.
Right.
Just like the whole BLM stuff, what they really about. People can't fathom that because it's a contradictory things. They just say, oh, well, it's Black Lives Matter. We love black lives. But the other part.
Yeah.
So they sneaking things in. And that's why I can't do it. They're not going to use me for that.
Nope. And it's a lot of that going on. Like we've been saying with Marvel and some other things, there's always there's a top line like story of the film. Mm-hmm. Then there's something like this is based in, I'm going to say based on a true story, inspired by.
Yeah. It's historical fiction.
Yeah, exactly. Historical fiction. Inspired by actual events, which means basically means something happened for real and it gave me an idea of a movie. That's all inspired by actual events means. It doesn't mean anything in the movie actually happened.
That's right.
It just means it's like you sitting at home and it's a flood down the street and you say, man, what if it was a really bad flood and we had to run for our life, and you write a story about it. That's inspired by actual events.
Uh-huh.
That's it. That's all it means when you see inspired by actual events on these movies. It doesn't mean any of it that is in the movie actually happened. So
he said all movies have agendas. Then he said The Woman King is a female 300. Tia Johnson said that kind of same thing. He saw it, and his review of when he states what happened. I'm gonna tell you the difference in the two movies, though. Even though you could say the Woman King is a female 300, in 300 they didn't try to make women look weak. Yeah.
In 300, they also made the female character
very strong
queen. So, however, in The Woman King, it does a great job of making all the men in the film look weak.
Yeah.
Which is to me the 100% opposite. As a matter of fact, in 300, I think they go out of their way to say, a Spartan woman is a great woman because she has to raise Spartan men.
That's right.
And they try to make, I think they do a fine job of letting them know that it's a partnership between Spartan men and women that generates the Spartan way of life. Not
that's right.
Men and we run this and they don't have a say in anything. Whereas in this here, The Woman King, it makes it seem like men are the problem.
That's right. Yeah, and when you see a lot of that, that's the thing that kind of gets to me. We've been seeing it forever.
Right.
Men are incompetent, we're dumb, we're stupid. All of this stuff throughout time of media. And I can't do it no more. Damien in the house, I got to get your theme music on, man. I ain't made it yet. But now about 300 Jamel say they didn't acknowledge the man on man.
Doc, I think you froze up over there, Doc. The screen might be frozen because Jamel's comment up there, but they didn't acknowledge a man-on-man love going on in culture. And
okay, I should be back. I'm good.
I hear you, but your screen is slow. You chop it.
Okay, yeah, my internet has been up and down.
Yeah, you back now.
All right, but yeah, didn't acknowledge a man-on-man love going on in their culture, and I mean, yeah, we know that happened, but that's not part of the story, though.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It doesn't play any part of the story.
That's going on in every culture ever since it was people. Again, but like I said, not relevant to the story.
Let's look at this. Brother Paul said we definitely have to be careful of how we accept representation for ourselves, from media to politics and beyond. They always use emotions to move the people. That's why we can't move on emotion, but do real research on things.
Absolutely. That's 100% correct. And I like what he said, the first part about that. We have to be careful about what we allow represent us. The problem is we don't have enough control in the media realm to have our own, to show our own representation, which is why we love this podcast, which is why I love the internet and YouTube, because it gives us opportunity to do that for black people, in our case, black men, to control their own narrative.
But look at this though. It's something about us that the things we're satisfied with. So look at this. The Jewish people, you rarely hear anything about Jewish people said in any form of media. They'll say anti-Semitic real quick, even if it's something that wasn't offensive. They have that. Every other culture has that. And even if they say, oh, we're up there looking good, let it go. But us, we like to be seen. Mm-hmm. So if they put one of us on the screen and pay them some money, oh, it's big. And then all of us flock to it. And again, that traces back to the first part of why they made this. Their representation is for personalities and emotions and stuff like that. That's why they made it the way it was. And they named it what it was, just so they can pay their money to go see it. But no one would dare say, let's not do this movie. Let's not go see this movie. I've seen people on my timeline right now that say, you need to go see it. Hurry up. And you know why? Because we get distracted by special effects, fight scenes, and everything else. Yep. Damien said Homer Simpson like men. Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's the image.
All right.
So, okay, my issues with the film. First off, initially I was taken aback by the title.
Mm-hmm.
The Woman King, and I guess that coincided with me having just seen Thor.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, hold on. So the black woman that's ruling all the people in Thor, supposedly this is a black woman, but she the king of Asgard.
Mm-hmm.
And they have her dressing in men's attire.
Yep.
The majority of the film. So are we expecting somebody?
Probably, they want to check on your car's extended warranty.
So that was my first, because it hit me that, okay, why is it every woman, every movie with a black woman in some kind of power, they try to make her a king? What's wrong with black women just being a queen and having power? Why do they have to give her a masculine identifier?
Yeah.
And that hit me back to back. It's like she could have just been a warrior queen. Xena was a warrior queen and we loved her.
Yeah.
So why did this woman have to be a woman king? And then my second issue after doing, because initially when the movie came, when I heard the movie announced, I was like, why are they calling Queen Nzinga a woman king? She was Queen Nzinga. And then I found out, oh, that's not about Queen Nzinga. Which was initially who I thought, because that was the first, that was what they portrayed in Lovecraft Country. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. They're gonna do a full length movie about Queen Nzinga, which I always liked her historical character or whatever.
Yeah,
so then now when I do my research, I find out this is based on the Dahomey tribe, and like you said earlier, they were heavily involved in slavery. So those two things right there, I'm like, I'm good on seeing the movie. But you go ahead, dog. How you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, to wrap this up, man, it's just that I can't give my time to this stuff.
No,
I'm not. And knowing what they're doing just to siphon our money, you know, they siphon our money from it, but it destroys our psyches. You know, we want to be in Hollywood on the screen so bad till we're willing to sell out anything for it. You know, we'll sell out this message, we'll do all these things just to have representation on screen. And my time is worth something. It's worth a lot. I could be doing a whole ton of other stuff. You know, like Damien said here, I'm not watching it for the free 99. That's right. Not even on the Fire Stick. I'm giving them nothing. I'm not. You just can't. Let's go with Jamel say right quick. But the big but is that if we don't support Black stories, it gives justification for them not producing more. I mean, yeah, but why? But they're choosing these Black stories that's damaging.
Right.
That's the thing.
And that's the catch. But that's the catch. Is they like, they'll support it because they just want to see more of themselves. So let's put the subliminal bullshit messages in it while they come and support it. And they know that's the problem, Jamel. We have to create our own content. I mean, we have to take control of our own content. That's why somebody like Tyler Perry, and I do not agree with everything he does, having his own studio where we can produce and make and create Black film by Black people is such a big deal. We have to own and create our own messaging, or we will continue to get things like The Woman King, and every time they put us in something, we're gonna flock to it because we think we finally getting a piece of the pie.
Exactly. But the movie is divisive to the Black community.
Everything that comes out now in some way, shape, or form is trying to be divisive to the Black community. There is a real agenda to maintain the gender war between Black men and women that is going on, which is really, in truth, pure bullshit. Excuse my language, Doc. I know we try to keep it clean.
I think it was all manufactured. It's all about money. It's all about money. Yeah. Because to them, that means nothing. True, but when they do, Black actors get powerful enough to choose their own stories. All right, but here's the thing, though. Yes, they do. But they still have to play the game. They're not
walking around with the $300 million it takes to make a movie.
Did you hear what Viola Davis said about that movie?
No, I did not hear what she said.
She was pretty much saying that y'all go out and support movies that don't have Black people in it, like all the Marvel movies, but y'all should support this. If you don't support this, you are not and I'm not quoting her directly, this is a paraphrase, you're not down for the cause. So now we have to make a choice. We got to make a choice. Do we support something that glorifies and lifts up the people responsible for a great deal of us being here through slavery and suffering? Or do we say we got to support this Black woman doing the show?
I think we have to decide that what we believe in and our moral stance is more important than a singular film or idea.
That's right.
We as much as I would love to support Viola Davis, I think she's a great actress. I've seen a lot of the things she's done, not everything, but a lot. We have to get to the point where we draw a line. I think we're beyond that point.
Yep.
And we need to start fighting back to an actual line, which also can be part of what we're going to be talking about in a second.
Exactly. This is connected. I'm glad it circled back
Right.
into this.
We you know, there, speaking of movies, there's a line in the film where a guy says, at some point, you're going to have to make a stand. At some point, someone is going to have to stand up and say enough.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we are beyond that point.
That's right.
And my boy Byron Allen, who after hearing him speak and hearing him talk, I realized more and more how much it was absolutely discriminatory and racist that they tried to keep him from owning networks, because his big thing was we need to be able to control the images of ourselves and control our broadcasting on networks. And as he was gaining more power in that realm, they had to find a way to cut him off. And they will continue to find ways to cut black men and women off as they actually do things that will give us the opportunity to control our image.
Yeah. You know what? I think this dovetails into the next topic, and I think when we get to the next topic, I'll connect it to this. So I'm not going to say it right now. But Jamel said, she was not wrong, but also not right, and I got an issue with that too. And it's I'm gonna call it the stubbornness in me. The stubbornness in me, and I like it because you're not going to tell me what to do.
Right.
I don't care who you are. You're not going to tell me how to spend my money. You're not going to tell me what to do. I do not care. If she came to my house, rang my doorbell and say, Doc, you got to watch this, I'm going to tell her to get out my face and go somewhere else. I can't do it. But this going to connect to the next thing. So when we get there, I'll connect.
On Jamel's topic, I think we are beyond a point in society where we can gamble with to take one step back and hope we get to take two steps forward. Because I believe at this point it's turned into one step back, 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 and then maybe we get a step forward somewhere, and we losing the way more. We ain't got the two steps back yet. That's what he's talking about. Go see the movie and support black actresses and actors, and then hopefully they'll be able to make a change in Hollywood later. But there's a million things going in Hollywood that won't let them.
So, why not support these new age rappers that's telling these kids to take drugs all the time and to be in gangs? And this is straight up. I see this every day. They throwing these gang signs around the school like crazy. So why we ain't supporting them? That's black media too.
Right.
It's difficult.
Because we know that's bad for us as a people, but we don't support it. But when we're telling you this is a bad representation of us as a people, but no, still support because there's a black actress. No, it's a bad representation of us as a people, and we should not support it.
Mm-hmm.
This movie was made not coincidental by a white feminist, a white woman feminist who had a feminist agenda, not a black agenda, not a black people agenda, not even a black women agenda. She has a feminist agenda, and history has now proven that the white woman's feminist agenda is not necessarily good for black women. It's good to put y'all to work. That's what it's resulted in. It resulted in them staying home and y'all going to work.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the white feminist movement is not the black woman's movement, even though y'all the backbone of it.
Mm-hmm. So, AS say the nigga factory must be boycotted, which we have a whole show planned on that. We've been supposed to do it. I'm going to put the homework up in the group, whenever we schedule it so we can watch it and be ready to talk about it. So any closing words on this so we can get to the real topic for the day?
Well, let's roll into the topic. I think I said what I wanted to say about that. Each person, you all are your own individuals. If you choose to go see it, that's on you. I'm not gonna go spend the money at the theaters to go see it. I'm still in the air about Black Panther. I need to look into it some more, look at some more of the trailers, get some more information on it, see if I'm gonna go see that. I feel like with the death of Chadwick Boseman, it probably is not going to be anything like what I want it to be.
Nope. And that's a whole nother talk. That's a whole nother talk.
So,
I want to dive into it. I really do.
But that's all I got to say about that. If you want to close up and say anything else about it, I'd rather get to the topic that I feel is more relevant, more important for us.
We just gonna roll to the real topic. All right. Okay. This comes from the book study on Sunday.
On Thursday.
Yeah. Dang, why I'm saying Sunday? My bad, man.
You ready to get to the house of the Lord tomorrow? That's all that is.
Hey, you know it. You know it, man. I might have to do a sermon. No. All right. So I'm going to add this to the screen. This is our StreamYard, and this is from that day.
Oh, and don't worry, everybody. I'm ordering me a new mic. I know the the audio is trash, but
I was supposed to send you that piece. I'm still going to send it to you, man, so that way you can use the other one. All right. So y'all listen. Tell me if you can hear it or not, and then we can talk about this. He says, own your fear and lean just beyond it in every aspect of your life, starting now. The question is, what do you fear of? What do you fear? Like, what fear do we have that's affecting our lives right now? That's what we need to figure out. I mean, straight up ask yourself this. What fear do you have? I'll tell you mine. I'm coming up with it as we speak, and I know it, knowing how I do things. I try real hard to be a good person. I try real hard to be a role model for my son and my daughter. My fear is that I'll do something and I won't be a good person anymore. So I temper what I say and do.
Okay. Now I need you to put a pin in that and bring that back on Saturday.
There we go. You said it.
And that's a deep one, man. What really makes you a good person, and at what point do the good and the bad start to outweigh each other?
Yeah.
What I mean is, like, you can do. I give you an example. Let's say you putting your kids through school. Let's say you taking care of your family and your woman or whoever gets to be a stay-at-home mom. Your house got everything, and you paying bills in your mama house, and you making sure your nieces and nephews straight, and you taking them on trips, and you this great father, but you sell dope. Are you still a good person?
Exactly. Depends on what lens.
Depends on what lens you view through.
But let's look at this. So I think I need to give a little background to this. So Jamel said fear is imaginary. In truth, it's only the lack of information. Now, in instances, that's true. But here we go. In the book that we're studying, The Way of the Superior Man, he talks about finding your edge. I mean, finding your limit of the things you can do physically, mentally, spiritually, all of that.
Right.
And what he's saying is that a lot of times the fear that we have, like we have fear of being afraid. So we go too hard in the paint sometimes, and it's not to our benefit, or we shy away from that. Now, and that's what he's saying, own your fear. So in this case, we was talking about this, and to get the most out of these books, you have to actually try. So I am showing y'all on film that I am mentally trying to go through these exercises, and I'm putting it out there as it comes to me. So we've seen it in live time. Now, when I talked about my fear, I connected it to this because for a long time, we've been doing this podcast for almost a year.
Yeah.
And I would never put it on my personal page until recently. And the reason why is I know we needed that exposure. I had a couple thousand friends, but I didn't want them to change their viewpoint. I tried to keep everything separate, because of what I do, who I am. I'm a teacher. I teach school. I'm a man of the cloth. I'm in the church. I mean, I do the sermons on the Sundays.
Right.
So I tried to keep the two parts of me separate. And then I got convicted. Like, that's not right. So then I start putting it up on my page, and now we got more people coming in because they seeing me. But my fear was that, okay, they're going to see me differently, and then it's going to undo all the work that I already did.
I understand your angle from that, and I really and I really appreciate that you have. That's a consideration you must have. But at the same time, and I think this is probably the conclusion you came to. If I'm going to sit here on this platform and say I'm trying to this is what I care about, this is what I mean, this is who I am. If I'm going to say that and do that here, but I can't do that anywhere else in the world, then I'm not being one of these facets of life. I'm telling a lie.
Either that or you hiding.
Or you hide. So, and I don't believe I should have to hide. Either way, I believe what I do in my professional life and what I do in my personal life, as far as what my convictions and my beliefs, I'm going to stand on those regardless of where I am.
Well, look at what we read just now. Own your fear and lean just beyond it.
Right.
In every aspect of your life starting now. The fear that someone would perceive me different and it would dilute my message in a different area was a fear. You know, even now, you know, we had the podcast about the church, which you got to do that one again. Yeah. But as a person, everybody know I do that. I make videos that talk about that. And I'm under such scrutiny. Like if I'm up here and people see me cussing, they gonna say, oh yeah, he a hypocrite.
Right.
Or if I'm up here and everybody else cussing and talking about stuff, then guess what? I'm still a hypocrite because I'm here with them.
Right.
But that's not what the truth is. And I know that. So what I did is changed because of this. My fear was holding me back from being who I need to be, from fulfilling my purpose. It was. So back to this thing. And this is where we come from. What is a good man? And Swanee, you know, what does a good and bad person consist of? We're going to talk about that in a minute.
Talking about that. That's what we're talking about right there.
And he said he feel what I'm saying. Jamel said, I say you're good and bad depends on how people are affected and how impactful the deed is.
So
I got a different
Jamel goes with something that I subscribe to a little bit is the end justifies the means to a certain degree. Because he says good or bad, how many people are affected versus how impactful the deed is. Yeah. If is it okay to sacrifice 100 to benefit 1,000? It's basically the question he's asking. You know, just to determine whether it was good or bad. I killed 100 people, but I saved 1,000. Was I a good man or was I a bad man? Am I bad because I killed 100 people or I let 100 people die? Or am I a good man because I saved 1,000?
All right, y'all watch this. I'm going to answer that question and I'm going to say something after it. 1, depending on whose viewpoint. Because people are going to say you was bad for killing people at all.
Right.
And then some people are going to agree with you, say, yep, that was for the greater good. Now, at one time I felt like that. I felt like this at one point. But as I got older and I started doing more things and studying more, I've changed. And I don't lean on looking at how many people are affected, how impactful my choices are. I don't lean on that because that can it changes, it shifts. You know, how many people are affected. I might do something and it affect a large amount of people, or I might do something and affect one person. But guess what? It's the same deed. It's the same act that had the same intention. So
the same requirement of you.
Exactly. So it does not make it right because it only affected one person. So what I do and what I did is I built my foundation. And like I told y'all, I'm in the church. So that's where my foundation is there. And my foundation dictates all of that. Now, I would say, too, that a lot of people do not understand the foundation. That's why they see us as hypocrites, or they think we hypocritical because they don't understand the foundation. They don't understand what stuff actually is.
Right.
So people would have that. And when I reconcile that in myself, like, you know what, I'm going with what my foundational thing is. And this is traced back to the last conversation about the Woman King. My foundation tell me I'm not supporting stuff that's bad for us, regardless of who do it. So that's why I'm not doing it, even if it's a black person on the screen. So see how I connected that?
Right.
My foundation dictates what I do.
And I want to piggyback off of that. I think
Mhm.
what we've talked about before about a man must have a mission and a ground beliefs of what he believes in, and be grounded in his principle. And I believe that is where it starts. You
Yeah.
have to start with your own. We go all the way back to The Wire. There was a whole episode of The Wire called "A Man Has to Have a Code." That was the name of the episode, and it just talked about how the police have a certain code, how gangbangers in the street have a certain code, and how the working man has a code. And it basically just, it kind of defined all the players in the story of The Wire. But in real life, it really comes down to that. You have to have a code and believe in what you stand on. I think it is much worse to be wishy-washy and too fluid and all of that kind of stuff than stand up and say, hey, this is what I believe. This is what I'm doing. This is why I'm doing it. And I'm standing on that ground. I think that is far more beneficial to yourself and to the people around you, that you as a man stand and make that ground. I believe that, whether it be quote unquote societally good or bad, what you believe is a far more substantial marker of a man than anything else.
I think back, well, two things. One, your foundation don't have to be like mine.
Nope.
It don't.
It does not.
And I won't be mad if you don't. But I'm gonna go back to many years ago. I was running the rental car place. It was the gold and black one. So I'm the branch manager, and I had this dude working there with me. Tall, older white gentleman. He was like in his mid 60s. And people would come in, like our black people would come in and say that he racist. And I would say, no, he's not racist. Why do you think that? Because he talked to me a certain way and he treated me mean. I'm like, that man not racist because he talked to everybody like that. So pretty much I'm like, people who hate everybody, I'm all right with them because you hate everybody.
Yeah.
You don't just pick out just the black people to hate. You hate white people. You hate everybody.
Right.
I'm good with that.
He ain't racist.
That's your foundation.
That's who he is.
Exactly.
I agree with you there. That makes a person easy to deal with. That makes a person, it makes it easy for you to understand how to deal with them. It does not make them a good or bad person, which is where we started.
All right, well, let's do this.
Just because you have a foundational belief, if your foundational belief is flawed or damaging people, doesn't make you a good person, does it?
Okay. This is what I say to that, and this is a difficult question. And it's hard to answer because it's always going to be through the lens of your own personal foundation.
Right.
Because to me, a good person, well, number one, let's just start at the base of it. What's a good man? And even if you go through all the books we've been reading, 48 Laws of Power, Way of the Superior Man, that's a man who is true to himself.
Yep.
Who doesn't try to fake it for everybody else.
Right.
Let's start there. That's a good man. Now, whether the actions and the beliefs that he does, that depends on your own personal thing. Like for me with my foundation, I'm a Christian. I preach the word. That's what I do. My foundation is on that. So I'm gonna put a hard question out to y'all. People believe that folks that go out there, you feed the hungry, you're doing all of this stuff, you nice to everybody, you what society call a good person, right? But you don't believe in Jesus at all. And you really think that God is not real. Well, at the end of time, guess what? You don't go because you got to believe in that one thing. So what most people would say is, no, that person is a good person because they do all of these things. But what a stiff foundation to say, well, yeah, they do all of those things, except for the most important thing.
Well,
so
check this out.
Faith without works is dead. That's what it means.
that person can be a good person. That does not make them a good Christian.
Mm-hmm. But
so that's the thing. This good person, bad person thing is so subject. I'll give you one, my own personal life.
Okay.
Or just anybody in general, actually, matter of fact. We all have these tenets that we think makes a person a good husband, so to speak, or a good wife.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That may not mean nothing to the person you're with. Are you a good husband or wife to them? Because you're in a relationship with them. You know, you can walk around feeling like, oh man, I go to work, I pay bills, I take her on dates, I show her some love, I come home, I don't cheat. Oh, I'm a good man. Man, you got some good characteristics. But if all she really wants is for you to make her a drink once a week, but you don't do that. You know, you do all the other stuff, but you don't make her a drink the way she like. In her mind, you might not be a good husband.
Yeah. So that goes to what I was saying earlier. Oh, okay, we had some technical difficulty, but it's all right. But that goes to what I was saying earlier about your foundation gets to decide that. You choose that. You know, so it's different for everybody. But the big question is, what is a good man? And what I said earlier too is I was talking to Damien about this the other day. And the question he asked me was, do you find it that people look at you more like, are you being a good black man? Is there more pressure because of that? And to me, you know, I said that I really don't, I'm at a point in my life where I think that being a good black man is really the same thing as being just a good man. Because we are at the point these days where, from what I'm seeing on TV, social media, in real life, that people don't really respect us like that anymore. And if you buy into that, being a good black man and nobody respects you is terribly damaging. So again, I fall back on my bad. I fall back on who I am, my foundation. And it's not just being a good black man, but I'm a good man, period. That's what I do. So this is a whole complicated thing. So let's look at some of these comments. Now Jamel said earlier, question is Bill Cosby good or bad? I don't think you can put him in one big category. He did a lot of good things. He did some bad things. We're all human.
I think he was a good man until. And because we will never know what really happened in those incidents, it leaves it very foggy, because I'm of the mind frame that was a commonplace thing at the time. However, I can't say, oh, that was a commonplace thing at the time and not take issue with it, because we know it's wrong now, and not say, hey, a person that was a slave owner who I say is a bad person because you were a slave owner, but it was a commonplace thing at the time. So just because something was commonplace at the time does not make it right or wrong. It's wrong is wrong. It doesn't matter when it happened.
Right. That's true. All right. Well, what about this one then? What about the young man who say, I got to go out and sell crack because I got to support my family? I got to support my family.
Well, okay. My honest opinion on that is, depends on your clientele. I honestly, even though I know that the drugs can ruin a family, if that is an adult, a grown person, a full-grown adult that chooses to use a substance, and I provide the substance for them, even though I know the result may be that person's family falling apart, is that my responsibility? You could look at it like this. McDonald's know they food to make you fat,
Mhm.
and they know they can make you unhealthy and kill you, but they still sell it.
Right.
The corner store knows cigarettes will kill you. They still
Mhm.
sell them. The liquor store know you can drink and drive drunk and die. They still sell it and ruin. The liquor store ruined more families than the dope ever did.
I mean, you got a point. It's nebulous. It's in the gray area. And again, I'm gonna go back to what I said earlier. It depends on your personal foundation because everybody gonna see it different.
Right.
And it goes to what you said too. It's going to depend on who you are in interaction with,
Right.
what they decide.
And this makes it so. This is why this is a hard question. It makes it hard to define what's a good person, what's a good man. This is why we got to
Glad you
get
said
out.
that.
We got to get out of our head of this person is good, this person is bad, and we got, especially women. I'm asking women, start dating men and saying, "Is this man good for me? Does this man do what I need? Not what society tells me I need, not what social media and TikTok tells me I need. Is this man good for me?" And the same thing for you, fellas. Is this woman good for me? Does she give me what I need? We have to get ourselves out of the mind frame of what looks good to other people.
Man, but you know what's bad? Most of us don't know what we need. The only thing we go off of what looks like to other people. We have no earthly idea what we need. And you know why? Because we don't know ourselves. And that's why we're in this group. That's why we study in these books to get you to the point where you know yourself. And this whole conversation was sprung all out of knowing your own fear. Now, what I want to say, let's talk about this. What does a good and bad person consist of? I'm not going to say a person. All right, let's from a men's perspective. What does a good man consist of? Let's go there.
Well, I think the first thing would be, does this man have a code? Does this man have a code? Does this man have a principle? Does this man have a purpose? And they talk about that in the Book of Man. It says, not the Book of Man, in the Way of the Superior Man.
Yeah.
Other men have a hard time respecting another man who doesn't have a purpose or a goal.
That's
because you don't know what he stands on. You don't know what he believes in. So it's hard to read him. So I think the first thing any man has to develop a purpose, a goal, a mission. We've said it a lot of different ways. It's all the same thing.
Yeah.
About who you are and what you are. That's the first thing. Anyone dealing with you as a man should be able to know what you stand for.
That's right. That's right. Oh, hold on. There we go.
I think that's the first step.
Yeah, I agree. You got to have that code. I call it a foundation.
Right.
You got to have the foundation. The Bible talk about that, about a foundation made of sand will never stand up to anything because it always shifts and moves. People who always shift and move all the time, that's not a good person. Even if they shift to what's good, you know what? They're going to shift back to what's bad eventually.
Exactly.
Depends on.
It's going to be momentary.
Yeah. So So I think a good man is somebody who has principles, somebody who has a solid foundation that they're not willing to move off of. It's not how much money you can make. It's not, how much you can protect somebody, because that reduces us to a human doing. Yeah, I said a human doing, not a human being.
Right.
You are not a collection of what you can do for somebody.
However, I will say this. Though we are not a connection of what we can do with somebody, what we do for people, especially the ones we're responsible for, counts.
It does. It does.
It absolutely counts in our own personal conviction and belief in whether or not we are a good person, and it counts in how we're viewed by society at large. It just counts. It does. There's no way a man that provides for his family is definitely looked at differently than a man who doesn't.
Right. Well, what I'll say to that though And I think with all of these books we're reading is that we can, it speaks to this. We can do those things, right? But that just can't be the only thing.
Can't exactly. It can't just be that.
You know, many times we get stuck on the provide part. I always talk about this, and I always talk about it, and sometimes it doesn't make sense to a lot of people. You know, they want to hustle, make as much money as they can. They're gonna work 90 hours a week, and when they have a choice, but then you neglect the thing that you're working for. You say you're working for your family, but you still got to be a part of the family.
Right.
You know, it's like you are a what do they call that thing? Silent partner. You're a silent partner in your own house.
Your own house. I know for a fact there's a lot of people that fall in that boat. And it's a constant battle. You know, we played the TZ Jakes video before of that constant struggle that we are as men. But that's where it goes back down to the foundation. Because there can be a man that's doing that, and because of his foundation, honestly believes he's a good man.
Oh,
Because
now we
his
getting into
foundation
it.
is based in I must be a provider, primary over any and all things, and at my highest level. That's the trick. Because a person
you hit it.
a person can be a provider, and let's say you make $70,000 a year. You can provide with $70,000 a year. It's not the same thing providing with $170,000 a year though.
No, it's not.
So you can go and be a provider at $70,000 and have that time at home and be able to spend time with your family and all that kind of stuff. Or you can say, I'm not going to be able to, I'm going to sacrifice this time with my family, but I know I can, if I do that, I can go out and make $170,000.
You're right.
My family going to live a better life because of it. You just won't.
You're right. You are right. So let's go back. What you said, it depends on their foundation.
Right.
Now, but again, I'm going to say, well, if based on what I said, and I'm at the whole true to that, somebody who follows the foundation that they created. So I would say, yeah, that's a good person, even though they might be losing out on everything else. They have to get with somebody or build something with a person who align with that.
Yeah. Because there's some women that are quite happy in a household where their man works 14, 16 hours a day and is hardly involved at home, and they don't have to. And they'll take care of everything.
That's right.
Some women some relationships work that way, and both parties are quite happy. They are quite content with the every now and then, again, once a month weekends and the vacations that they really spend time with their significant other.
But it depends on that foundation. So to that, I say a person that's good, that has built the foundation that's solid, and they function their life off that.
Right.
I would caution you, all the men out there, you have the power to create your own foundation.
Yes.
You can decide what kind of person you want to be. Too many times we allow life to happen to us instead of us happening to life. And we get built and constructed by the things we see and what other people tell us. But you can decide what you want your foundation to be. That's what I did. Even though it's unpopular and it's a hard path.
Right.
I know that. And I'm still figuring out how to navigate it.
Well, most oftentimes in life, the easy route is not normally the long-term successful route. So even though it may be hard for you to stand on some of your principles, that's what makes them a principle. That it means something, that you're willing for it to be hard for you to stand on it. It's okay.
That's right.
I'm willing for it. There's going to be times when I know people are going to disagree with this, but I believe somewhere deep down that it's the right thing. And it's going to give myself and my family the best opportunity at success. However you define that, which we've gone through the definition of success, however you define it, it's going to give you and your family the best. That's the beauty of this country to a certain extent, is a man can choose the life he wants to live.
That's right. And that's why we're doing all this.
Right. And you shouldn't be held up for it. I think one of the saddest things I see currently in society is how people are hard on other people for just not choosing the route they think they should have chose.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, honestly, it comes from all over. It comes from all over. Even in the Christian world.
Yep.
It's the same thing. We as humans are infected with that disease, the disease of self-importance. And we believe that our way is the best way and the only way. And when people don't do that, that they are bad.
Yes.
This is what I learned many years ago. And it took me a while to learn this lesson. And I got convicted for it. We had a friend, and I don't know if you remember Mr. McBride, that passed away when we graduated from high school. And I was working at the grocery store, and I talked to him the day before he went missing. I think I probably was one of the last people to talk to him. And he was telling me, I got the scholarship to go to Duke University. He had a scholarship for Duke University and a couple other places, full ride. And he said he wasn't going because he had to stay here. And I know he was in the game at the time. You know what I mean by in the game. Y'all know. So he wanted to make the money and do that. And I talked to him. I was like, man, you got this whole future. And he was like, nah, Doc, I can't. Then he went missing. 2 weeks later, they found him on the railroad tracks, and his brother and his cousin had to carry him home. And it was a gruesome sight. And in my mind, based on my Sandy foundation, I was like, that man, he going to hell because they selling drugs and doing all this stuff. And guess who was wrong? Who was the bad person in that? It wasn't him. It was me. I was the bad person because I don't get to dictate where people go in the afterlife.
Nope.
I thought I was so important to decide that, he did this, and so he going down there. No, I don't even know the guidelines to get to the afterlife. I don't know it. So what I'm getting to is that sometimes we play the bad person.
Yes, we do.
And we have to recognize that and make a shift. The change is always changing. And you can shift your viewpoints on things. So we have to evaluate that. And that's the whole purpose of this, our book study, all of this stuff. We're trying to help us get to a point where we can always constantly adjust ourselves to get to a place to where we are better. We are on the route to being whatever we think good is.
Right. And you know what? I kind of want to leave it right there. I want to leave this note of where I want people to think about this. If whatever your God is, whatever your religious belief is, whatever, I don't know what you were raised on. If the things you're doing, you feel bad about them later, it's probably not. It's probably not good. Whatever your belief system is, if you sitting there like, man, I can't believe I did that, it probably wasn't a good thing, and you probably not being a good person around those things that you're doing.
That's right.
However, I do not believe one bad deed makes you a bad person. Even if the result from that bad deed might be incarceration. And I don't necessarily think that automatically determines you're a bad person. So
yeah,
stick with your foundation, stick with the foundation of what you believe in. And let's all just try to continue to be the best versions of ourselves that we can be.
Yeah. Well, I got two things to say. Number one, when you talked about incarceration, that's why Doc became Doc. And I'm going to tell y'all that story one day about people with records and how they're treated in the world and at the workplace. That's why I did my study.
Right.
Because we got to help them, and it's not right. But I'm gonna save that story for another time. But what you said about when you get that feeling that you did something wrong, I think last Sunday I preached a sermon about that, and I'm gonna tell you real quick so we can get to it. But it was about the spiritual scar tissue. Scar tissue is something that covers up our wounds, meant to try to heal it. But when we do things like that, you do things that don't agree with you. And you always get that nervous feeling when you did it, or that feeling of guilt and remorse. That's the wound. And you notice that the more you do it, the easier it get. The more you do that thing that caused that spiritual scar in you, the easier it get to do. And after a while, it get callous. That scar tissue builds up over it. And now it's easy to do it. You know, I figure once somebody robbed somebody the first time, they were scared, but they did it. And then the second time it was easier, and it kept getting easier. So what I'm getting to in relation to this, like Lion just said, pay attention to those things, that emotional and spiritual wound that you give yourself. Don't just try to battle through it and cover it up. That means you need to evaluate if that's something that you need to be doing. Like, no, that ain't quite right.
There's a reason why it doesn't sit right with you. It's a reason why it doesn't sit right.
That's right. And now, if you one of them people in the church, or you want to know exactly what I said, I did record it. I might put it out. And if you want to know some literature and scriptures to go with it, I'll give it to you. Just let me know. But anyway, I'll drop it right there. What's a good man to me? A man who builds his foundation sturdy and strong and builds everything on his life on top of that. That's me.
All right, man. I'm gonna roll. We're gonna close it up right there, Doc. Man, good show, and thank y'all for joining us. I appreciate all the comments and all the interaction. We'll be back Thursday for another episode of the book study with Where the Superior Man.
It's hot.
We're gonna be doing 10, 11, and 12. I think we're rolling into now. Be here, join us. We're gonna talk about all kinds of topics. We appreciate y'all joining us. We love you. We out.
Peace.